Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for being here at my YouTube channel. My name is Chrissy Hodges, and here on my channel I talk a lot about OCD. In particular, I talk about the community that's nicknamed Pure OCD. That's also the title of my book, yay, Pure OCD, The Invisible Side of Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, which is a memoir about my experience with OCD. I'm also a certified peer support specialist here in the state of Colorado. And I do consultations to provide support and also referrals for people worldwide who are looking for therapists. And I co-founded OCD Peers. Yay! So if you're looking for support groups, we run groups almost every day. And we will be expanding to different diagnoses here soon. Also different types of groups. So keep an eye out for that. If you are looking for treatment, NoCD is not only an app, they also provide telehealth ERP treatment in all of the states. And they also have international therapy right now in the UK, Australia, and Canada. And I know that they're looking toward adding more countries as they're moving along. So keep an eye on that at treatmyocd.com if you're looking for therapy. And especially here in the States, they're able to provide that for you. I have my French Bulldog here, so he can be a little bit loud. I love that. And really stinky too, by the way. Anyway, you're here because you want to find out why OCD feels so real. Well, I don't have the answer, but I just wanted to talk about it for a little while. Mainly because I know it feels so real. I have it. I understand that sometimes you will even doubt that you have OCD because of how real it can feel in your body. And it can feel real emotionally. It can obviously feel real when you're getting the groinal syndrome or other erogenous areas in your body are moving or, tingling. If you're feeling urges, if you're having symptoms when you're dealing with health OCD, for example, if I'm worried that I have a brain tumor and now all of a sudden I'm waking up with a headache every day. These are all ways that OCD can manifest physically. And as we all know, very much emotionally, that keeps us really hooked into the secondary question of, what if I really don't have OCD and this is real? We know that to be one of the more disturbing questions, pretty much parallel to whatever theme or whatever intrusive thoughts that you're trying to solve. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, first I just want to reference Dr. Stephen Phillipson's Choice article. I referenced him in the last video too. That's funny. He has an article. I don't know why he just doesn't publish that damn thing as a book. It's like 48 pages. There's an audio version of it, but also Stuart Ralph of the OCD Stories, he ended up recording Choice over like the series, I think, of 2 podcasts. So you can even go on there and search it and listen if you don't want to read it. But what he does is he outlines what's going on in the brain physically, and then also talks about who's going to be more successful in therapy because of all this. It is just such an informative article. And so I'm going to tell you what I got out of this. Now, remember, I am not a therapist, and I am also not a researcher or an expert on why OCD is the way it is. But when I read the article Choice, things really cleared up for me in a way of helping to conceptualize what's happening in my brain. Now, remember, that is not the key to managing OCD. Knowledge is not power with OCD. Knowledge is good until it's not. Let's just put it that way. So just because you know what's going on in your brain does not mean that you can overpower it and stop it. This would be the equivalent of, and I'm sure I've used this before, of living with diabetes and knowing that your pancreas is malfunctioning and thinking to yourself, I can just outthink the pancreas and make it work correctly. That's not how OCD works. So I'm going to talk to you about, for me, how it helped conceptualize why OCD feels so real. You can accept this or reject it. This is just something I really feel like kind of made me think about OCD in a different way. So this is how I envision OCD. And remember, Phillipson talks about this in the article Choice at ocdonline.com if you want to go check it out. So Phillipson talks about the malfunction of the amygdala. There's also all kinds of speculation about where the malfunction in the brain happens. Is it the basal ganglia? Is it that area? But one of the things I feel like almost everyone agrees on is that the malfunction is happening in the reptilian part of our brain. Okay, so this is the part of the brain that's going to be responsible for keeping us alive, for keeping us safe. It's just kind of that sixth sense. Now that I say that, I'm going to tell you, I don't know what the basal ganglia does. So I might be lying on that one. So let's just take the basal ganglia out. I'm going to go Google it after we're done because I'm embarrassed. Like, I'm all red. But when you talk about the amygdala, let's just focus on the amygdala. Fuck. Okay, back it up. So the amygdala is a part of the brain that is helping to keep us alive. It's helping to keep us safe. In fact, that is its job. Okay, so when I read The Body Keeps the Score, I think I have it right here. I'm not sure. The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. Yes, that's a great book, by the way. It's about trauma, and it was life-changing for me. I mean, legitimately. Anyway, when I read that, Bessel calls it the amygdala is the smoke detector. So basically, the amygdala is on the alert to see if there's smoke before a fire. Okay, so when the amygdala sees that something may be happening, the amygdala sounds the alarm. Something's about to happen. You need to keep yourself safe. So I'm going to tell you how I think about what's going on in my brain. If I have the amygdala, this is a visual. If I have the amygdala over here, okay, all day long, the amygdala is spinning on its little wheel, and I'm getting thoughts or something's happening or things are happening in my surrounding, and it's just looking and looking and looking, like smoke detector, right? It's looking, are we okay? Are we safe? Are we safe? What is this? What is this? Well, I look at it this way, that the amygdala glitches. Okay, so it glitches, and all of a sudden, it drops some stupid intrusive thought that I'm probably having anyway, because I have them all the time, but you don't know that you're having them until you're focusing on them, right? So it glitches and drops the intrusive thought into my brain, which then goes up to my frontal lobe, which is where rationale happens. And I'm like, whoa, why did I just think that? What does that mean? Why did I just think that? Well, I thought it because the dumbass amygdala glitched. Well, then my reaction to the amygdala is, oh my God, what does that mean? Why would I think that? I've got to, you know that feeling when you get some sort of OCD trigger and you think to yourself, I've got to solve it. And sometimes you can't even remember what you have to solve, but you know you have to solve it. Well, this is all compulsion. So now I have this thought that's rolling around in here that glitched, and I've got to figure it out. And so I start doing compulsions. Maybe I'm Googling. Maybe I'm asking for reassurance. Maybe I'm ruminating and mentally reviewing. Maybe I'm confessing. Maybe I'm doing something, all because the amygdala fucked up. Sorry. So then when I start doing compulsions, then the amygdala's like, oh, wait a minute. She's in danger. She's telling me she's in danger. So the amygdala messed up and is now responding to its mess up, not even knowing it. Now it's like, oh my God, we are in danger, but it's only thinking it's in danger because it did it to itself. And so then the cycle starts. And that's why it's so maddening and so stupid when I think about it. Like, the amygdala caused everything. It doesn't know it caused everything, and now is just reacting to me normally responding to the to the amygdala, because now I think it's a threat. And so then the cycle goes, and I'm now talking to the amygdala behaviorally, because compulsions are a behavioral response, and the amygdala only speaks the language of behavior. Now, this is what makes this so hard, and this is why it feels so real. This is how I know it to be. Because the amygdala is only able to communicate behaviorally. And we are not ingrained to be able to communicate that way over logic. Logic is our first kind of line of defense when it comes to communicating with anything, right? Then all of a sudden, everything feels so real. When I'm doing compulsions, it feels real. When I'm getting signals from, the reptilian part of my brain, it feels real. And then the more that cycle goes on, and the more checking and the more all this, because it's all behavioral, I can't out logic and go, this isn't real. Like this isn't true. Because every time I try to use logic with the amygdala, because it doesn't understand logic, it then again thinks, oh my God, we're even in deeper danger. Because if I'm trying to use logic, what am I doing? I'm ruminating. I'm mentally reviewing. I'm checking. Those are logical, trying to figure out what's going on here. The whole time the amygdala screwed everything up. So this is why it feels so real. You're actually having this conversation with a part of the brain that is really like, it will fight to the death. I've said this before. I've even posted this on social media. Like the amygdala will fight to the death because that's its responsibility. Its responsibility is to keep you alive. So even in death, it will still be like, I'm still fighting for you, right? So when the amygdala is messed up, you have to let the amygdala have the last word because it thinks you're in danger because you keep telling it you're in danger when you're doing compulsions because that's its language. So it will continue to argue with you. And that's where when you're doing therapy, you learn the language of behavior in order to communicate with the amygdala and go, there's not an issue here. And you know how I'm going to show you that there's not an issue? Because I'm going to stop doing compulsions. I'm just going to stop arguing with you. Fine, have the last words. Like you can keep whispering that thing in my ear and I know your game, amygdala. I'm on to you. So that's, to me, when I can conceptualize that, sometimes it helps me to be more motivated in order to do exposures, in order to reduce my compulsions. Because then I can go, oh, okay, really all I'm doing is I'm stopping this argument by stopping communicating with it. Because the behaviors keep telling the amygdala, oh, we in danger. That's why sometimes when it ebbs and flows, which I'll do a video on this soon, we think, oh my gosh, I have just been so lost. I've been in the OCD days, for days or even weeks at a time. Well, why? Because you're so deep in compulsions at that point. You're just doing them all day, every day. And that, the communication with the amygdala, and it keeps warning you. You keep telling it that it needs to keep warning you. So it's doing its job, right? And you're fueling it with the compulsions. So that's why compulsion reduction and then eventually doing everything that you can to stop compulsions or, put boundaries and limits around them. That's why it works. Because then you're directly showing the amygdala, I'm not going to respond because this is irrelevant. Now, it may feel terrifying. It may feel real. But with practice, you can start to see that it feels the same way almost every time. Why is this so hard? Because essentially, we're challenging our survival instincts. We're not designed to do that. Our survival instincts are supposed to be working for us, not against us. But unfortunately, thank you, amygdala. Unfortunately, that's the hand we're dealt. And so learning what it feels like when you are in that state of, oh my gosh, this panic, and being able to step back, conceptualize, and make a different choice, which is why Philipson's article is called Choice, to make a different choice in response to the amygdala. Now, with that said, I want to tell you, this is not easy. That's why therapy is challenging, and that's why this disorder is difficult. It's not easy, and it's always going to feel risky. Again, because we're challenging part of our brain that should be keeping us safe. And we think by not honoring that or communicating back with compulsions, trying to figure out if this really is a threat, by not doing that, that feels like we're putting ourselves at danger. We feel like we're putting ourselves at risk. And this is why a lot of times, especially when people have harm intrusive thoughts or POCD intrusive thoughts, it does, people get into a state of like, I am not willing to not do compulsions because I'm not willing to take the risk. That right there is the crux of how powerful it feels. I'm here to tell you, you do not always have to trust that feeling, that instinct. And I say that instinct because it isn't like your gut instinct. That's why OCD is ego dystonic, because we know it isn't. And I know that you're probably saying right now, well, I don't know anymore, so that must not be OCD. Oh no, you're here, so you know it is, so just stop. That was so dismissive, I'm sorry. You know what I mean. So anyway, that's kind of my explanation, my conceptualization of why it feels so real and what's going on in the process of my head. Now, I'm going to close with this. I certainly, after reading that article, wasn't like, oh my God, now I have the answer and it never feels it never feels bad again. Not at all. But it gives me the opportunity, kind of like Phillipson intended with the article, to think for a second, I have a choice. So I can, and often I will react first, right? Because it's your survival. You're reacting first. So maybe I do compulsions and then I go, whoa, this seems familiar. Let me observe. Let me see what's really going on. And then I remember I have a choice. Dr. Michael Greenberg calls it, I have agency. I'm taking agency over what I can do next instead of just feel like I'm there for the ride and there's nothing that I can do. When we look at it as a language barrier and we look at it as, oh, okay, now I can see why this is happening the way that it is. It's not going to make taking steps easier. Learning the language of the amygdala is really, really hard, but it can help. Because when you really know what's going on, it's not going to make it feel less real, but it can be motivating in taking the next steps to make that choice. So I hope that helps. Again, I'm not a therapist or a researcher, but this is just kind of my idea of how I look at it, and it's just helped me out. And I hope that you can take anything away from that, and it can help you out too. So if you're looking for services, peer support with myself or my team, head on over to ChrissyHodges.com or referral consultation. And if you're looking for groups, OCDpeers.com. We'll see you next time.